set aside the bustling American dream because a whole new continent is in town. Newsflash, folks. Europe promises an affordable life that won't require extra shifts in a coffee house. But if you were to settle in Europe, where to go to save some big bucks? Join me as I do the ultimate face-off to figure out the most affordable country in Europe. My criteria is simple. I'll be scoring each country based on the affordability and efficiency of its healthcare, housing rent, grocery index, and transport. The baseline comparison here comes from the US prices. We're not looking for a fancy NYC investment banker lifestyle, so those metrics should work. Now it's time for our 4 European contestants to enter the ring. Let's see who comes out on top. First up, straight from the pits of the oldest European countries and the master of collecting Olympic medals, we have Hungary. This country was bound to make my list. When it comes to attracting digital nomads and offering them cheap, humble abodes, Hungary knows what it's doing. But not everyone here is too keen on speaking English. Ordering that pint of beer is honestly some work. To fight off the cheap blessings of Hungary, we have the perfect combination of tradition and embracing modernity. Our very own Croatia. If your aim is to make it to some progressive European country, forget about the likes of Switzerland and Norway. Croatia offers everything you need, just cheaper. Not without its shortcomings, though. Gameplay. It's time for us to pit Hungary and Croatia against each other to crown the most affordable country in Europe. First things first, before making that move of your lifetime, you'd need to say your housing options. Even if you're someone who needs some rizz and a touch of luxury in their house, I would say Croatia is a great option. The apartment complexes are sleek. But again, the goal here is affordable housing. So if I just stick to 1-bedroom apartments in city centers, Hungary comes out on top. Compared to its average monthly rent of almost $400 in Budapest, you'd have to pay $100 more in Zagreb. That extra $100 bill can take you places in Hungary, quite literally. It has some cheap hiking activities, and that pint of beer costs less than $2. Just don't clink your beer glasses though. For some reason, Hungarians don't like that. Weird drinking traditions aside, Hungary takes a point. You also have to avoid any cases of DUI, because healthcare won't be free for you in the country. If anything, Croatia doesn't help in this case either. Both countries will give you first response treatment, but then you're on your own and that international medical insurance card. Both of our opponents lose a point for not being very cool about universal healthcare. Yet the scales aren't very tipped yet, and one country can be back in the game just because of its food scene. I'll tell you what, if you prefer to eat avocado toast with fancy olive oil, grocery runs in Hungary might be a little slouchy. This country really knows its meats, and wherever you go, you'll find some iteration of goulash, a slow-cooked meaty stew. You can devour that and more for around $6 to $10 if you go to a mid-range restaurant. Again, we're aiming for survival here, people. When it comes to the eating out scenes in Croatia, restaurants aren't exactly charging nickels for meals. But it's still far better than lining up for a seat in a mid-NYC cafe only to pay $25 for a bland meatball spaghetti. And if your cooking ventures are just limited to making peanut butter and jelly sandwiches at 2 a.m., you might find a bit of a cultural shock here. Croatians love to make meals at home, and this is where our grocery index comes in. What happens when you actually go out to do groceries instead of ordering a $6 meal from the deli down the street? Right off the bat, Hungary wrecks Croatia in this department. Compared to NYC prices, Croatia has a grocery index of 42, while its opponent staggers at 35.2. The estimated prices of grocery items are definitely cheaper in Hungary. Ding ding! The country comes out on top yet again. 2-0 is a top-tier score here. But let's see if Croatia can make a comeback with its transit system. By all accounts, both countries have a pretty decent transit system in place. Yep, it's just one of those perks of living the European Union life. While US subway systems are sad and traumatizing, Croatia and Hungary both keep up with the public demand. Let's say train systems and bus routes are very confusing to you. You might not want to end up in an unknown place, or you just want to avoid crowds. In that case, I'd suggest taking a taxi. And surprise, surprise, taxis are cheaper in Hungary by a small margin. Again, $1 saved means another pint of beer in bustling Budapest nightlife. That's a clear 4-0 win for Hungary, and it advances to our finale of the most affordable country in Europe. On to our next round then. 4 big European heavy hitters are competing for the most affordable country. My decisive factors are cheap housing, food costing, healthcare, and affordable transit. Watch out, because the game is afoot, and it's a clash of some big titans. Our third contestant in the race is the epitome of a perfect summer and even better wine: Portugal. This country is set to tick all those affordability boxes for our little contest. But the cost of living in its capital city isn't straight up vibing with me. To fight off Portugal, we have the underdog of this game, Bulgaria. You didn't see this one coming, did you? Bulgaria wouldn't win the European popularity pageant, but it'll keep your bank balance pretty hefty. Gameplay. Right off the bat, let's talk about your living options in these countries. Here's the thing, living in popular towns will be everyone's go-to move. Those city centers are thriving on life, and every nook and corner is in a league of its own. I'd tell you to get that Instagram clout that comes with living in Lisbon, but mentally prepare yourself to pay at least $800 for that crammed up 1-bed bedroom. Alright, that's a complete bust. If you pay that much for rent, you can't hit those nightclubs on a Saturday night. That's a huge missed opportunity. But hey, Bulgaria can knock this game out of the park, because living in Sofia, Bulgaria is going to cost $300. That's a $500 cut from Portugal. And that comes with spectacular views when you sip on your coffee in the morning. For me, this one is a no-brainer. Bulgaria has a decisive point here. Plus, the country is the life of the party. From nightclubs to the beaches that don't ever stop partying, Bulgaria's streets are always buzzing with energy that you can only dream to match. Partying will become your state of mind if you live here. It's fair to say that Portugal can easily corner its opponent with the delicacies it offers. As you walk through the streets, the aroma of bifana and prego will get you hooked on Portuguese cuisine. You'll keep coming back for more, especially when it's so cheap. Here's the thing though, the grocery index for Bulgaria is 34, as compared to Portugal's 39. Yep, that's another bust for the sunny country. On to healthcare now. That would become a necessity if you keep munching on bifanas in Portugal. Both countries have some paid systems of healthcare. I would say that the EU has drastically different policies across the board. But as far as non-native residents go in Portugal, the government is more friendly towards maintaining your health. Basically, you won't be broke by the end of the month if you get a cold in this country. I can't say the same for Bulgaria though. The rules are simple. If you're gonna live at the country's expense, expats gotta pay for some health services. And that's how Portugal is back in the game, baby. Starting from 2-1 for Bulgaria, let's see if these places can take you places, quite literally. Let's get real. When you're in hotspots for partying and some dynamic nights out, you're leaving your house. The sheer amount of spots in both countries means that you're taking that bus. But that one single trip in Portugal is gonna cost you around $1.6. Alright Portugal, what's up? That's a lot for a single trip. And this is where Bulgaria essentially tells its opponent, hey, GG, but game over. A single pass in Bulgaria costs you less than $1. So not only does the country take the final point, but it also does it with style. The final score has boiled down to 3-1 for Bulgaria. So now it joins Hungary in the final showdown. Today, top 4 European knights are fighting their wits to win the crown jewel of the most affordable country. I'm giving points based on low rents, cheap food, healthcare, and inexpensive transit. Let's go! Our first finalist is Hungary, the king of cheap housing. But we're still yet to address the elephant in the room, the language barrier. And our second finalist is the underdog that came out on top, Bulgaria. This country knows its way around a dogfight, and it seems like Hungary finally has it coming. Gameplay. Both of our finalists can throw some serious hands when it comes to affordable living. So it would be a decent idea to look beyond our obvious metrics. And it's time to address the issue that even your big bank account can't solve. Language barriers, ladies and gents. What can you do with cheap rent and nightlife in Hungary if you can't speak their language? Natives don't exactly vibe with English. That's gonna be an issue if you aren't a digital nomad. Luckily, Bulgaria doesn't have that issue, so props for this huge point. Not to mention, when it comes to this country, it seems like Portugal bought a knife for a gunfight. The healthcare metric seems equal for both of the countries, so I'm cool with giving a point each to both of our opponents. Lisbon won't have anything on Sofia when it comes to utility bills. From the internet to water, the government aims to please. Not to mention, its average rent and transit are also a huge money saver. In a row, I'd have to give 2 points to Bulgaria here. Sorry, Portugal, you might have the best wine, but this just isn't your day, and one can't realistically live off wine. So you guessed it, Bulgaria is the most affordable country in Europe with a final score of 3-1. Hungary is our runner-up, and of course, there are some winners and some losers. Portugal and Croatia almost lie on the same scale of affordability for us. Gotta go, time to make my big next move. What's your opinion on this outcome? Comment below to let me know, and share your idea for the next video.